So 29th season. Circus Flora next on City Corner. I'm Sarah Thompson and welcome to City Corner. We have a fun show for you today. We're talking about Circus Flora, which is starting its 29th season, or I should say 29th Big Top production. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And I'm joined by Emery. He's the executive director. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sarah.
I know this is a busy time of year. You're about to start up the Big Top production in just a couple weeks.
It is. We had our tent raising today. The Big Top went up in the next to Powell Symphony Hall, and it looks magnificent, as it always does.
Let's kind of set the stage before we get into this year's production and this year's circus and what's unique about it. I want people to really fully understand St. Louis has its own circus, and it has a long history. Tell me a bit more about that.
You know, it's something really special and unique that we have here in St. Louis. You can't go to other cities and find anything like this. Anywhere in the region, the only two other cities in the country with their own resident circus are New York and Sarasota, Florida. So it's something special, something that's great to have here in St. Louis as a place we all call home.
And when you talk about a resident circus, and you mentioned the Powell Hall, the lot adjacent to it, for people who haven't been, tell me about that placement, the history of it there.
So you come around the corner next to Powell Hall, and right where you're not expecting it to be, there's the Big Top tent rising out of the city. It's red, it's huge, it's awe-inspiring. You see the blue pennants flapping in the wind, you hear our Irish Calliope man's music playing, you get your hot dog, you get your cotton candy, you get your soda, you get your lemonade, and you go into the tent and you're taken back in time 100, 120 years ago to when these small tented circuses would travel around the country, and they'd come to your neighborhood. And this would be what you'd go do with your friends, your family, your loved ones, the people that you worship with. You'd go together, and in our Big Top, you sit in a ring with about 800 other people, and you're so close to the action that when the horses go by, you can feel the ground shaking underneath you.
Yeah.
You can see the sweat dripping off the flying Walinda's hands while they're up on the high wire. The clowns are being hysterical right in front of you. There's dogs doing backflips. It's really amazing.
Yeah, and it's so great to think that, I mean, you painted such a great picture there, but I mean, it's just amazing to think that we have our own circus. I think people are used to hearing about, oh, the circus coming to town at this venue, but this is something that's completely created and curated by Circus Flora for St. Louis.
We are only here in St. Louis. We've traveled in the past, I mean, all over the country, but we've been here specifically since 2009.
Okay, so this is the 29th year. Tell me about this season's production, or the Big Top production that's going to start in a couple weeks. That's going to kick off and run for 6 weeks.
We're really excited about it. So we're in many ways a theater company working in the medium of circus. And so our theater director, who's also an associate professor of the arts at the Tisch School at New York University, and our artistic director, they work together on the creation of a new production every single year. And so this year it's called One Summer on 2nd Street. And it's very appropriate for the time in which we live. It's actually set in the late 20s or early 30s in the quintessential American city. And it's set in one block, in one building, where people from all over the world have come together to live. So in it, there's the older generation that they don't get along. They distrust one another. And then, of course, there's the younger generation that will all fall in love with one another, and the older generation will disapprove of this. And that's where the plot line will go. But the way we work this together with the acts is we have the trained house cat act. And this is going to be this cute little couple from the Ukraine, which is actually where they come from. And they're going to get tired of the cats screeching in their alleyways every night. So they're going to train them to perform tricks. There's going to be a bird lady who lives on the roof with her trained pigeons, not the cats and the pigeons at the same time. And then we're going to have a Russian horseback riding act, the Cossacks. And these guys will be meek carriage drivers by day, and by night go carousing wildly up and down the streets. We'll have a barber juggling knives, and there will be a huge family hanging their laundry out lines between the buildings until they start walking back and forth on it. So we're really capturing the sense of city and urban life in this vibrant period of time in our country. But it's also addressing some of the themes that are important to St. Louis right now about the need to get along with each other. You know, that people come from all sorts of diverse and different backgrounds and can find this commonality. They can find this common point. They can find these common points of celebration. And it's one of the things I really love the most about Circus Flora is it's one of the places in St. Louis where everybody from across the metropolitan area can gather at once inside that big top tent. We have one of the most diverse audiences across all spectrums of society in that big top at any given show.
And diverse performers too, as you pointed out. Well, let's take a look at some of the photos that we had, and maybe you could walk us through.
That's great, thank you.
Again, you did a great job describing what people are going to see, but let's take a look at one of those first photos. So who's this? Oh,
this is Adam Kuchler. He's our lead clown in this. He is hysterical. Young man, this is a photo of his a traditional cigar box juggling act.
He juggles all of that.
He juggles all of those. These are the Russian trick riders, the Cossacks. They have several horses that go full tilt, high speed around the ring, and they hang off the sides of them, go under the bottom of them, upside down, right side up, all sorts of different tricks. It's absolutely daring, and you can see in this picture, I love this one, because you can see how close the audience is. They could high-five him as he goes by there. Oh, the Flying Melindas, we love them. They're so
famous
deeply,
world over,
the world famous Flying Melindas, and they're ingrained here into St. Louis. We had a magical moment a couple of years ago when Alex Melinda, the son in the family, proposed to his then girlfriend on the high wire with all of us there.
During one of the
not during one of the shows, during a practice. But he proposed to her. She walked across the high wire to him, and he got down on one knee right then and there on the high wire and asked her to marry him.
Oh my
It was magical.
I'm sure it was. And what's this? Or who's this, I should say?
This is one of the Melindas doing one of their famous tricks on the high wire.
Yeah, the Melindas are, I mean, absolutely amazing to see, and just to know within the generations of their families that everyone has sort of, whether it's they've inherited this ability to do the high wire act or the training, one or the other.
It's an amazing, amazing family. I mean, they're just remarkable in every respect and very talented.
What I like about when you were describing, I think people when they think of the circus and they might say, okay, I'm going and we're just going to see these acts, but you're really presenting it in a storyline, as you mentioned, like it's theatrical. There's actually a story.
Absolutely. It's something very special. There's nobody else in the country that presents circus in the way in which we do in this theatrical aspect. You really have to go to Paris before you find another circus doing anything similar. It's I've been around the country over the past few years and visited a number of them, and it's really unique. It's very distinct.
So what are some of the other things that make Circus Flora so unique?
You know, one of the things that we're really proud of is our way that we can work with the community. We really engage with the community on a broad level. This year we're working with the Mosaic Project St. Louis. They have a goal of making St. Louis as welcoming as possible to foreign-born individuals to grow the talent pool here in town. And so we're having translations of our program into 5 different languages in our playbill this year. So it's a small thing, but it's something important. It's something meaningful to people here in town. We're really proud of our sensory-friendly production. We partner with Easter Seals Life Skills, and we set aside one specific show, and we change it in a way to make it accessible to children on the autism spectrum. Many times children with autism are overwhelmed by too much sensory stimuli, and we adapt a show. We change the production values. We leave the lights up, tone down some of the surprises, and we distribute upon arrival and in advance what they call a social story, so the children know what they're going to experience at the circus before they come into it at all. And we did this for the first time last year, and we had about 500 children and their families in that tent for their first time experiencing a theatrical production. There's no other theater companies in St. Louis doing this right now.
No, I mean that's a brilliant idea. You also do ones, am I correct, where it's like a peanut-free circus? And tell me, so with the 6-week run, what some of those unique ones are, because you even do an hour one for smaller kids.
We
is that correct?
We do. We have our peanut-free preview. That'll be on Thursday the 28th before any peanuts have been in the tent. We have a group of parent volunteers with Gateway Feast that they come in and they clean the tent very thoroughly to make sure that they feel comfortable with their children being in there the next night. And kids come from all across the state for it. We have a family that makes a trip from Kansas City every year for this show.
Wow.
That's their one chance to take their child to a circus.
Absolutely, not have, because with nut allergies, especially peanut allergies, I mean, that's something really to worry about. That's wonderful. And then you've got your, is it the Little Top? Is that what
we have
it's
our
called?
Little Top Wednesdays on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. It's a 1-hour show for those with shorter attention spans of any age, myself included.
Well, at that point, you probably see. Do you see the production? I guess when do you start rehearsals?
A good number of times. Rehearsals start this next Tuesday.
So you've seen it by the time that the season starts. What do you think it is that people really just love about the circus? Because when you started off, you sort of presented it back in the context of, that was entertainment. Years ago, this was like the big entertainment. It still is. But what do you think that people love to go see? Is it sort of the thrills of each performance? What do you think it is?
Everybody has a different answer, completely. But I believe that it's really about the connection that's made between people while they're at the circus. The connection between a father and his daughter, a mother and his son, the intergenerational connection. One of my good friends bought 20 tickets and brought the whole family for their 50th wedding anniversary a few years ago. There's this connection, this bond. Everybody's in the tent laughing together, smiling together, gasping together.
Right.
All of these emotions in sync. And when people walk out of that tent, their eyes are alight. I mean, they're happy, they're thrilled, they're connected, they're bonded in a way that you don't get anywhere else. You don't get it sitting in your living room watching television at night. You get this by doing activities with the people that you care about, with the people that you love.
That's really, that's quite insightful. I hadn't really thought about it in that capacity, but you're right. You're sort of sharing that experience and enjoyment. And as to your point, people from different backgrounds at that moment enjoying the same thing.
We run into people all the time that have these fond memories of growing up going to Circus Flora in the late 1980s, early 1990s, and now they're bringing their children for it too.
Right.
And it's become a family tradition on many nights of throughout the course of the run. I've met people who they've shown me birthday photographs taken in front of the Big Top every year since 2002. We had a couple of years ago that they called us wanting to have their wedding reception at the circus.
Really?
And started talking to them more and discovered they'd had their first date at Circus Flora. And it had been that meaningful and important to them that in the end they actually had their wedding ceremony in the center ring on a Saturday morning and then stayed afterwards for the show.
Because it's really become its own sort of, it's St. Louis tradition too. It's like you have to do this if you live here. It's
Absolutely.
One of those things like, you got to go to the zoo, you go to the Science Center, you have all these checklists, but you haven't like fully completed your St. Louis experience if you haven't gone to
It's
Circus
the beginning
Flora.
of the summer, and what is summer in St. Louis unless you've been to Busch Stadium for a ball game, you've been to Ted Drew's, you've been to Circus Flora, you've been to the Muni. I mean, this is what summertime in St. Louis is about.
When you present it in sort of this sort of festival-like season where it is this sort of 6-week run, I mean, have you thought about, and you do other things year-round, and we can talk about that in the second half of the show, but have you ever thought about expanding that sort of season or production time or shortening it, or why that 6-week run at the start of the summer?
Well, we expanded by 1 week this year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So yes, we added another week this year. We've had 30,000 people come each of the last 4 years, and we said, well, we need more people in that Big Top. So we added another week to it.
And have you ever thought about doing, I know you collaborate with people throughout the year, but I mean, is it just the summertime that's the key time to sort of present the circus? Is that the way it's always been?
That's where we've been presented in Grand Center since 2002, in this time frame, in the Arts District. And we slot in really nicely there with the other programming going on, and that's where we've been.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a quick break, but when we return, we're actually gonna learn more about Circus Flora's collaborations with numerous arts organizations. You can really see them throughout the year in different capacities. But for now, we're gonna take a quick break, and when we return, we'll talk more with Joel Emery from Circus Flora.
G-morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
I'm Sarah Thompson, and welcome back to City Corner. I'm talking with Joel Emery from Circus Flora about their 2015 season. I said it, season, but no, the Big Top production that starts on May 28th. And again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah.
So we kind of talked about One Summer on 2nd Street, which is going to kick off on the 28th. But let's talk about some of the collaborations, because I actually just went to one the other weekend with the Pulitzer, and we've got some photos of that. But you work year-round, so we've got this 6-week Big Top production, but throughout the rest of the year, you're doing constant collaborations with other organizations here in town.
We do. We just had this past Friday with the Pulitzer Museum. They have an exhibit with works by Alexander Calder, Steinbeck, and Tuttle, and all of whom work in lines in various forms. And what we did is we brought in 3 performers that work with lines in their own manners to draw comparisons between the visual static art, well, or in Calder's case it moves, but between that and what artists can do. So this is Ariel Ibacher doing her wire dancing, and right here is Shayna Swanson doing an aerial rope act. And both of them were beautiful. We had about 250 people in the courtyard at the Pulitzer, and they really enjoyed it. It was fun watching everybody applaud, and all of the children and families getting to experience the works of Calder for the first time. I mean, it brought a lot of new people into the Pulitzer, as well as brought a lot of new people to experience us for the first time.
Right, and experiencing circus performance, circus acts in a different space other than the Big Top. Tell me about, with some of the performers, I know some come in town specifically for Circus Flora's Big Top production. Others live here year-round. Do you want to tell me more about that breakdown?
Yeah, the St. Louis Arches from Circus Harmony, they're here in St. Louis. Circus Harmony is a great partner organization, or a sister organization out of the City Museum, and they do some great work with kids from all across town. And the best kids in the program become part of the St. Louis Arches and perform all over the place, including in our Big Top.
Okay.
So those guys are local, but everybody else comes in from across the country and the world. In the time period I've been with Circus Flora, we've had acts come in from Peru, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, France, Arkansas, a little bit of everywhere.
And I think it's important to note, what I always think is so fun about Circus Flora, besides seeing the Big Top there on the lot right behind Powell Hall, is that they're camped out there. They're like living there. And I don't think a lot of people know that. I mean, there really is like a whole caravan of circus artists there.
Traditional circus families travel with their caravans, with their RVs, and they live in those for this course of the year. So yes, we have a village that is set up, and in the evenings, a group will be out barbecuing mutton, another group will make pasta with lobsters and mussels, another will make some sort of Eastern European pastry, and we have potlucks frequently in the evenings, and it's so really beautiful.
Fun,
it's about family.
Yes.
From the moment you enter the gate throughout all components of the organization. It's about family, it's about togetherness and connectedness.
For the performers who come here from other countries, what do they think of St. Louis?
What do they think of St. Louis? That's actually not a question I've posed to any of them.
I mean, not that, but is there something in terms of their experience with Circus Flora that's quite unique that they ever say?
No,
I mean, I imagine everywhere they go, it's great.
So performers in general tell us that Circus Flora's experience is unique to other circuses. At other circuses, you come out of your trailer, you go perform, you go back to your trailer, and that is it.
Right.
At Circus Flora, you have this other experience I was talking about, this connection, this bond, and what that really does is it makes the whole production that much more cohesive, that much more tight. You can tell that the people that are in the ring have a relationship with one another and care about each other and are part of a team in a way that that is very special for circus in circus world.
So we mentioned Powell Hall, which is Powell Hall. You're sort of camped out, or the Big Top's right adjacent to that in the parking lot. But you also collaborate a lot with the St. Louis Symphony, and I have some photos from. This was actually from a couple years back, and it's the setup photos. And I remember this. I remember watching this, not only being set up, but at the performance where the Willindas were over the audience in Powell Hall. And my stomach, I just thought, oh, good Lord. I remember it was amazing. Talk about some of the work that you do with the symphony and again, other organizations.
So we've worked with the symphony now for 3 times, 3 different productions. The last 2 times we've had over 6,000 people come to the show across 4 different productions, and the symphony is great to work with. Our artistic team develops a plot, a time, a setting, talks to their artistic team, asks them, what do you have in your musical catalog and repertoire that represents this? They come back with a selection of pieces. Our artistic team then takes it to the acts that we want to work with, shares it with them, lets the acts select which music they want to perform to, and in this process then weaves it together into this storyline.
Yeah.
This past year we had a production called Winter Fable, and it really drew upon Eastern European myths, legends, fables, with an evil witch who casts a curse upon the kingdom and the quest to eliminate this curse.
And you've got the symphony playing there, the orchestra playing live while the circus performance is going on. It's really, it's really quite breathtaking. I want to switch over to some of your community outreach programs because they're really, I think, telling of the organization too, outside of the performance aspects. Maybe let's start with Clowns on Call. What is Clowns on Call?
So Clowns on Call, Claire Wiedemeyer is our clown conductor or the coordinator for the program, and she goes room to room at Cardinal Glennon and Mercy Children's Hospitals. And she's a remarkable individual who is very empathetic, and she enters the room and gets a sense for what is needed in the room at that moment, gets permission from the child in bed to whether the child wants her to enter or not, and then delivers what's really needed in the space. It might be small and subtle, it might be loud and boisterous, but it's what's needed to distract that child, to bring a sparkle to the air at that moment. And she's really integrated well into the child life staffs at the hospital. They'll grab her on the way in and say, hey, I really need you to see this little girl in this room, and she's refusing to do her physical therapy, and before you know it, Claire's in there and the little girl is spinning a plate on a stick there in the room, and so she's sort of been duped into doing what she should be doing. But also Claire the clown, she enters the room and the child has control over the situation. It's an environment in which the child's being poked, prodded, pricked, told what they can and can't do all the time. This is a time when the child has control. The child has power over what's going on around them, and it's very therapeutic to give that child that period of time where they're the boss.
It's really great to see. I think you see more and more, especially with children in hospitals, the art therapy and music therapy, how it has these huge benefits to young patients. Tumbling and teamwork. What is tumbling and teamwork?
This is brand new. We are working with Great Circle. It was formerly Boys and Girls Town of Missouri and Edgewood when they merged together. And we have a group of coaches who are based out of Bumbershoot Aerial Studio who are working with a group of 15 children with various learning challenges that are in residence at Great Circle. And these children are in a 10-week program where they're learning basic circus skills, individual, partner, and group activities. And at the culmination of it, they're going to be able to have what they call a share, where they present for the other children at Great Circle what they've learned, what they can do. They're going to have a small production. And so they'll be able to show, I have learned this by myself, I have learned this with a partner, and I have learned this with a team. And these are lifelong skills that they'll be able to carry for the rest of their lives. And we've designed the whole program with the social workers at Great Circle so that it fits with the therapeutic needs, and they're tracking the results, and I'm really looking forward to reporting back on that.
In terms of these collaborative efforts, do you find that circus art sort of lends itself really well to collaborations?
It does. I mean, it's a universal art form. It's something that spans centuries, if not millennia, and all corners of the globe. And that makes it very accessible to everybody and anybody.
And so with Share the Circus, is that just essentially your collaborative programs? Or tell me a bit more about
So Share the Circus, we give away about 3,000 tickets every year to children and families from underserved communities. And we partner with social service agencies. Some might get 10, some might get 100, some might take a few hundred tickets. And what they do is they then distribute it to the children and their parents and their constituency which they serve. And so it gives them a chance to come and have this experience, to have that bond and connection we were talking about earlier.
Oh, that's fantastic. When you think about sort of the future, I mean, so here we are in 2015, and you're keeping circus art alive right here. What do you see as the future? I mean, do you see it as you have to transform the circus production, big top productions? Yeah. What do you see? Do you have to collaborate more? What do you sort of hope to see for the future of Circus Flora?
So, with circus in general, we are very much bridging traditional circus and contemporary circus. We're preserving a cultural legacy at the same time as we're advancing new opportunities and new techniques and new methodologies. In the past 5 years alone, we've had brand new acts debut with different apparatus and equipment in our big top. So at the same time we're preserving this value of 100, 120 years ago in that format and style, it's very contemporary and cutting edge in the act selection and the direction and the technical theater components.
I was going to say, do you think technology will have more of a role, do you see, in circus in the future? Or do you think people will really just sort of continue to enjoy circus arts traditionally as they are?
So, I mean, I think technology, that's a broad question applying to technology in the arts. I think technology, when used to integrate into the arts, is fantastic. And it can be wonderful. A couple of years ago, we incorporated projections into one of our shows because it lent itself to the medium in which we were, the theatrical production that we were creating. So yes and no all at once.
Before we end, I do have to bring up, because I had the pleasure, a few years ago to meet David Balding, and I feel, who's now passed away, sadly, but how do you sort of feel, first I want you to answer who he is for people who don't know who he is, and how his sort of memory lives on in Circus Flora.
David was one of the co-founders of the organization back in 1986 and had been the artistic director and producer for many years, and was a good friend and a mentor. I really miss him. He passed away about a year ago this week. And we all definitely miss him. He was a renowned Broadway producer. He won some Obies and other awards, and at some point in time decided to adopt a little baby elephant, and before you know it, was traveling the country with his own circus, and ended up here in St. Louis thanks to some people in the mid-'80s, including Vince Shamel, who was then mayor. And just a remarkable individual, a force of nature that we all admire and miss.
Well, no, I think that's great that you continue to sort of carry on his legacy and his vision of the circus. Well, it's starting soon. It's May 28th, Circus Flora, One Summer on 2nd Street. Go check it out. It's a 6-week run. Well, that's about, or a month. How many weeks is that? That's about a month run, but.
It's about a month.
About a month. I don't know why I kept referring to it as 6 weeks, but there it is, May 28th to June 28th. Circusflora.org. You can get your tickets through Metro Tix or call the number that's there on your screen. And you can also learn more about Circus Flora's other programs, their outreach programs, on their website. That's Clowns on Call, Tumbling and Teamwork, and Share the Circus. If you want more information, again, head to Circus Flora's website. All right, well, Joel, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you at home for watching us here on City Corner, and please keep it right here on STL TV, Experience St. Louis.